everybody. It has been so long since I've done a video, so holy crap. I think it's been, wow, 6 months or longer since I've done a video. Wait, did I do one recently? No, it's been a long time. So I thought I'd pop on. I'm going to do some makeup, and while we do makeup, we're going to talk about a book that I just read. I love to read books, if you don't know that about me. I read all the time. I have a book with me wherever I go. But first, I had someone, actually 2 people, the other day ask me if I was still with Younique and selling their makeup. Yes, I am. And let me show you my stash. This is my box. And this is all of my goodies inside my box. So, yeah, I still sell this stuff. I buy tons of it for myself. So, yeah, I love it. I also have other types of makeup in here from, so for instance, like I'm not a big fan of the Younique eyeliner, but I do like the eyeliner they have at Dollar General. Don't ask me why, but the Wet n Wild stuff, I like that. I guess it's because it goes on smoother and darker. I don't know. But yeah, I still love these products and I still sell them if you're interested. If not, no biggie. Everyone has their own preference. So, back to books. Okay, so I just read a book called The 4 Winds by Kristin Hannah. And if you haven't read anything by Kristin Hannah, I highly suggest reading something from her. I would start with The Nightingale. That is one of my favorite books as well. But The 4 Winds, so I like history. I'm not like a huge history buff, but I do like history. And The 4 Winds is about the Great Depression back in the 20s and 30s. It mostly takes place in the South, like Texas and California area of the United States, in the Great Plains area. And it's about this family in Texas. Okay, the main character, her name is Elsa, or Elsa Moore. She ends up getting pregnant at a young age, marrying the father, living with the father's family because her family considered her ugly. Let's just say the truth. Her family considered her ugly and kind of kept her hidden from the public, even though she wasn't. She just wasn't up to her family's standards physically, whatever. So I know that's sad in itself. That's a whole other part of the story. So then she moves in Texas to this other town. I forget the town's name. Shoot. Anyway, they live on the farm. His family, his mom and dad, Tony and Rose, accept Elsa for who she is, and they fall in love with her. And so her daughter is born, and her daughter's name is Loretta, after Loretta, Texas, I believe. So then a few more years later, Elsa has another child, a boy named Anthony, but they call him Ant for short. So during this time, okay, the in-laws live on a farm in Texas, and it's a wheat farm. So that's basically where they get most of their money from. So this wheat farm is prosperous, doing great. Then the Great Depression hits, okay? So now, excuse me, I just choked myself. So now that the Great Depression has hit, crops aren't doing as great, families are poor, there's not enough food to go around for everybody, and then come the dust wars. I don't know if you've ever heard of the dust wars. My nose is swollen. What the heck? Sorry, got a little distracted there. My nose is swollen. So the dust wars are like these big dust storms that come up down south, and people actually died of what they called dust pneumonia because all the dust got into their lungs, and they couldn't breathe. And back in those days, they didn't really have the medical resources that we do now. So unfortunately, people died. So back to the farm. I'm going to skip all over. Try to keep up. Good luck. I hope you can keep up. So back on the farm. So yes, so the wheat, because it's such a drought, there's no rain. So the land's dried up, it's cracked, it's dust war after dust war after dust storm. They have to board up the house to keep the dust out, which means the animals aren't getting the resources they need to survive. So they're dying off, or they have to kill the animal in order to survive themselves. So Elsa, her husband, God, I forget his name because he was such a dirtbag. What the heck was his name? I don't know. He wasn't really an important character. He takes off. He's like, that's it. I'm going to California. I hear there's work. He takes off and leaves them. Other families and their neighbors take off and head to California because that's where they hear there's a big rush of jobs. You can work on the railroad. There are big farm companies that are hiring for picking cotton and things like that. So a lot of the families decide to take off, as well as Elsa's husband. And Elsa decides to stay with her in-laws. That's home. That's all she knows is home. They love her and they've accepted her all these years and her children for who she is. The daughter, Loretta, doesn't like that idea. She's all like, we need to go. You're the reason why Dad left. You know how teenagers are. You're the reason why Dad left, blah, blah, blah. We gotta go where the jobs are. All that jazz. You know how that goes. So, what happens, long story short, I could go on for hours about this book. I didn't know much about the Great Depression. It's not something that we really talk about in school. It's always about the major wars or, you know, who discovered what. So the Great Depression was something I'd heard about it, but I never really knew much about it until I read this book. And now I totally want to research the whole entire thing. Totally lost where I was. Anyway, the dad takes off. The daughter wants to leave because she thinks there's a better life out there. The mom says, no, we're staying here. This is our home. This is our land. We're going to fight for it. Well, the young boy, Anthony, ends up getting sick. He can't breathe. They rush him into town to the doctors to find out he has the dust pneumonia. Not good. So he has to stay in the hospital for a while. They're not sure if he's going to make it. He does. He ends up making it. Between the time he's first dropped off to the hospital and they find out he's going to make it, Elsa makes a decision for the benefit of her family. And that decision is, we're going to California. I need to get my son out of here because this is not good for him. I don't want him to die at a young age, so I need to do what's best for my son. An eyelash. We're going to head out. We're going to California, where everybody else is. Going to get a job. She's going to, support her family the best that she can when she gets to California. So they're thinking they're going to get to California. She can work for the railroad. She can work for a farmer, a store, whatever. Because they've been told that there are jobs galore in California. So she takes their old beat up truck, $42 in cash, and a full tank of gas, and she heads out. Mind you now, she's a single mom. I'm like, this woman is a warrior. To pick up your kids and just head out across states to start a new life with only $42. She packs whatever food they had left, like a can of peaches, and they killed a chicken, so they had chicken sandwiches. Something like that. So they get to California. Fast forward. There are no jobs in California. It's just as destitute as Texas was. But there are farm jobs. So they end up staying at this campsite owned by Welty, I think is the farmer's name. He's like a huge farmer, conglomerate, whatever. I think it's Welty. I think that's his name. So they end up staying there. It's a campground. So they got to set up their tent and whatnot. She makes them dinner, whatever. So then she goes into town to find a store to buy more stuff, and they find out that the store only runs on credit. So I'm probably going to explain this wrong, but stick with me. In this town of California, if you're going to work for the farm, the stores set up a credit, okay? They don't accept any cash. So you go in and get what you want. They put it on a credit. You work for the farm owner. The farm owner then pays off your credit and takes the rent for living on his campsite, and then whatever's left gives to you. Could be $1. You know, back in the 30s, it could have been $1, it could have been 50 cents, could have been whatever. So that's how that works. So she figures that out, goes to work, picking in the cotton field. You know, her daughter's not happy about it. What preteen would be, or teenager for that matter. So a year or so go by. What am I looking for? A year or so goes by and they're still doing it. They're still trying to get out. Well, now the depression is getting worse. And so now the farmers are losing money. The big conglomerate farmers are losing money. So they now have to take more money out of their workers' pay. Like, I learned a lot from this book. The 20s and 30s, I mean, yeah, the Roaring 20s were supposed to be glamorous and whatever, but as time went on and the Great Depression hit, holy cow, what those people went through, the suffering. I just dropped my stuff. It was unbelievable. So now they're like, we're gonna take, hang on, I dropped something. They're like, okay, we used to pay you $1 per bag of cotton that you picked, but because times are getting rough for us and whatever, and we need more money than you do, we're only gonna give you 50 cents a bag. Well, that 50 cents also has to pay your credit at the store, your rent for the campsite, so now you're left with, say, 20 cents a week. Not enough to feed a family at all. So now Elsa is like, this is ridiculous. She's starting to get upset. And her daughter Loretta is like, Mom, you gotta do something. Something needs to be done. Enter Jack, another character. Jack comes in and he runs, he started the workers' union. We'll just call it that. He started the workers' union. So in this workers' union, he's trying to get the farmhand, okay? He's trying to get them to sit, like a sit-in. I don't want that one. You know, we need to get these farmers realizing you guys are worth more than 10 cents a week. We need to fight back, yada, yada, yada. So Elsa ends up joining the cause, as does her daughter Loretta and this Jack guy. So now they rally, okay? They're going to strike, I want to say. They're going to strike against the big conglomerate farmers. So they form a group, a community of strikers against the farmers. They want more money. They're taken advantage of. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure this probably really happened back in the Great Depression. So they gather up all these people, and the first plan is they all got in the back of the truck and they would ride to the fields. So they get to the fields and the plan is to just sit. Nobody do any work. And they sent the message down the line so that all like different towns gathered and did the same thing. So they did that. Well, now the owners get wind of this strike, and they bring in the police and vigilantes and whatever to just break this up. This is ridiculous. You know, we can find other people that'll work for us for cheaper, blah, blah, blah. Well, they start to bring in other people, but then Elsa, this woman is magnificent. I love her character. She gets up there, she gets on the megaphone, and she's like, no, don't go in. If you go in, sit down, stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for your rights. You know, they owe us money. I'm trying to think what I want to do for eyeliner. They rake us over the coals. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want that one. So that's what she does. And I don't want to tell the whole story, but I was so excited about this book. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to just share it with everybody. So they strike, okay? Farmers aren't happy. Bring in the police, bring in some vigilantes, rough up these people, show them who's boss kind of thing. That worked for about 5 minutes. And then the rest of the people the rest of the group was going to retreat because they were scared, but Elsa convinced them to stay. She convinced them to stay and fight for their right for better money. I just messed that up. That's why I like to do my eyes kind of first, but I didn't this time. So they end up fighting. In the story, it didn't say if they actually won their strike, but I'm going to assume at some point they did. And yeah, I'm going to say they did, obviously, because the Great Depression ended after a while. But I need to research and find out how it ended, what happened. I'm really curious about this now. If anyone has any information on the Great Depression, drop it below. Let me know. I am intrigued. So Elsa is up there. A riot breaks out. God, I don't... Spoiler alert. Just gonna let you know, she gets shot. And it was kind of an accident. I think they were trying to shoot up in the air, but somebody bumped the person and she got shot in the side. So there's that. And so I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end. You just have to find out. Even though I've told you practically the whole entire story. Well, not the whole entire story, but I think the dad's name was William. Anyway, she gets shot. So she's laying there and she says to her daughter, she looks at her daughter, Loretta, and she's like, go, do it, just do it. Her daughter picks up the megaphone and starts preaching to the workers, you know, enough is enough. We need to get more money for our work. You know, and then she starts, you know, power to the people kind of talk, blah, 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 which is so inspiring. I love stories that have strong women characters. And boy, did this one have a strong woman character. Holy macaroni. It took Elsa a while to find her bravery, to find her, I don't even know what you want to call it. To find her way? I don't know. Because her family had beaten her down verbally, not physically, verbally, so bad, making her think that she was nothing and that she was ugly and whatever, and technically she wasn't. It's just her family made her feel that way. You know, and they kept her hidden saying she was sick. So they kept her hidden all these years because she had a heart condition or something. And, you know, that didn't stand up to her, you know, parents' lifestyle. So weird, people back in the day, hiding people in the closets and separate rooms, and I don't understand that. I don't know. So it took her so long to build up her confidence and to just be like, screw it, I'm doing it. I don't care what my parents said about me. And she did it. And that's what I love, when women are just like, you know what, enough is enough, screw you. You don't freaking know me. So back off, bitch. So that's pretty much the story. I'm not going to tell you the end of it, but then her daughter ends up taking over and becoming this strong, independent, you know, type of woman that you want to see in a book. I feel like my eyeshadow needs to be updated because I've had this one for a while. So anyway, that's the name of the book. It is called The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. And man, do I highly recommend you read that one. And her other one, The Nightingale. I feel like I look like I just got punched in the eye. This is what happens when I talk and attempt to do a fancy eye. There's no fancy eye. I look like I have a black eye. I was just in a fight. And that was about the Great Depression. So I'm going to be researching more because it was interesting. See, like, I live in a bubble. I totally live in a bubble. And when I read things like that, I think, wow, people really live like that outside of the North Country, outside of New York. People really live like that. They don't all just live like us. I'm oblivious to what happens in other states, other countries, and it drives my family nuts sometimes because they're like, duh, you know, everything isn't just rainbows and sunshine like in your bubble world. And I'm like, well, maybe it should be because my bubble world is beautiful. Step on in. Come on in. Have a seat. Yeah, no. I need to realize that out in the world, there are people... I know there's people far worse off than I am, but when I read about the Great Depression and what happened in the Great Plains, I was like, holy crap, that is horrible. People actually starved to death, and, you know, the government came in and they offered people whose farms were failing money for their dead animals just so they could have the land. Not oh my God, I'm so sorry, here's some money to build your farm back up and make it better. No, hey, we'll buy your dead animals, you know, and we'll just dispose of them, and then, you know, you can go live happily ever after somewhere else and leave your land you grew up on to us, and we'll just do whatever we want with it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. If it has family value, I mean, that's more than anything. I think, anyway. Oh, so, side note. We got this mascara way back when. This has 2 wands to it. It's called Twisted. Look how tiny that one is. And then here's the regular size. I love this thing. My cat is scratching the wall. Meow meow. Alright. Wish me luck, because if I start talking, this is not going to be... I'm going to poke myself. If you have any book suggestions, I am always taking suggestions for books. I love to read. So right now I'm reading one that my bonus daughter Teresa gave me that is called North Beautiful? The hell's the name of that book? Northern Beautiful, I think. It's kind of a young adult read. So it's about this girl in high school. She was born with, I don't know if any of you have heard of port wine stains. So port wine stains are what some babies are born with. It's like a raspberry, we used to call it, on your face or whatever. Some people have them all over. Some people have like little patches, whatever. So this girl was born with one anyway. So it's based on her life growing up with that birthmark, port wine Hang on. The port wine. What did I just call it? Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. The port wine stain. Jeez Louise, is what they called it in the book. So it's about her in high school. She has a boyfriend. I haven't gotten very far. I'm probably about a quarter of the way into the book. So far, so good. I like her character. And I pretty much will read any genre, but I really enjoy historical novels or biographies or, you know, suspense thrillers are good too. I do like those suspense thrillers. So drop me a book. I have a huge Amazon list started. I just bought, so I belong to the Reese Witherspoon book club, and I just bought Outlawed and Sanitarium. Oh, I can't wait to read Sanitarium. I'm looking forward to that one. That one sounded pretty good. So those two are on my read. I have them on the table. I still have to finish the Outlander series before season 6 comes out and before the last book comes out. I think I'm on book 7. So I need to read 8. Is there a 9th book, or is that 9th book coming out? I can't remember. Diana Gabaldon's written so many freaking books. I think there's 9 books and the 10th one she's working on right now. I think that's how it goes. Somebody correct me. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. So yeah. I'm not into those like vampire, witches, wizard things. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I did not like those books. I know they were the rave back in the day, but I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. I didn't even care for the movies. My husband likes them. I do not. I will read some science fiction. I like murder mysteries. Biographies. I've read some autobiographies. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I have read them. I am a huge fan of historical novels. Or anything that has to do with history and has a good... For The Tattooist of Auschwitz, highly recommend reading that book. That book was amazing. Oh my God, I loved that book. I think I read that book in 2 days. Like, I couldn't put it down. It was so good. So The Tattooist of Auschwitz, of course, is during the Nazi, you know, Hitler and all that crap. And this man, he's a Jew. He's Jewish. He's a Jew. I didn't mean to say it like that. He's Jewish. He ends up in one of the camps as the tattooist. So he marks people with a number when they come in to the camps. That was his job. Okay. So he meets this woman. It was just a feel-good book. I mean, I felt bad for the situation they were in, but the fact that something so beautiful could come out of that situation was hopeful. I'm not gonna lie. He ends up falling in love with one of the girls that was in line to get tattooed. And so this is kind of their love story. And they actually end up, after the war, together, married. I mean, you kind of knew that was going to happen, but their story in itself through the whole, I'm not going to tell you any more about it, because if I were to tell you a little more about it, it would give the whole book away. And I don't want to do that, because I really want you to read The Tattooist of Auschwitz and really get to know those characters and what they went through. Oh yeah, and you'll need Kleenex, because I cried a few times. Yes, I did. I'm gonna do my eyebrows. I need an organizer. Like this box, I have to dig through it every time I want something. I need an organizer. That's what I don't have. So I have really, really tiny eyelashes, and if you notice, I have a hood, mature eyes, the hooded eyes. So I learned this little trick with the mature eyes. If you put dark here and light on the bottoms, it'll make your eye seem less, it'll draw your eye up. Whoop. So I've been trying that. I don't know if it really works, but it's the illusion. It's the illusion for me. So yeah, those are the two book recommendations. The Four Winds and The Tattooist of Auschwitz. And I've been known to save certain books so I could read them again. Like I have this one book called Iron Lace that my aunt gave me. Actually, I think I was supposed to return it and I never did. I still have both books. Anyway, there's two books. Iron Lace is the first one, and I just freaking, I've read that one twice already. It was such a good read. And again, it's one of those back in the day, feel good books. And if my aunt is watching this and wants it back, no, I'm keeping it. I'll buy you a new one. Because I love it so much. I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay, now I need a lip. Do I want to do lip powder, lip gloss? I don't know, because I'm wearing this mustard color, and I kind of put a little mustard in my eye. Let's go. I'm going to wear a mask later, so I have a calling hours to go to. My daughter-in-law's great-grandmother passed away, so I have that to go to. I'm going to be wearing a mask, so no one's really going to see my lips anyway, but I still like to wear lipstick. I don't think I'm going to line my lips this time. Sometimes I line my lips, but I don't think I'm going to this time. All right, so let's do this lip powder. I discovered lip powder through Younique a couple of years ago. This stuff is amazing. It's so funny how it goes from powder to like a gel to lipstick. I can't talk while I do lipstick. So, no talky-talky. There we go. That's the lip powder. I love it. I did have a clear gloss I would put over it, but I don't have the clear gloss anymore. So I'm just going to spray so everything stays on. And that's it. That's my makeup for the day. Thank you for listening. And I hope you get those books to read. If you want to read, so I just gave The Four Winds to a friend of mine, but when she's done, if you want to read it, let me know and I'll pass it on to you. But I do want it back because I do plan on reading it again. And I can't remember, I don't think I have The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I think I passed that one on. But you can get it anywhere. I get all my books from either Amazon or thriftbooks.com. Thriftbooks.com is really a great site to get your books from. Sometimes you can get them for like $3.99, $4.99, or sometimes full price. And so I go between the two websites because sometimes Amazon is cheaper than Thrift Books, vice versa. So it depends on the day and whatnot, and the title. I don't know, that dark looks pretty good. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening to me ramble on about a book that I just read that I fell in love with, and I hope you like it too. And I hope you all have a wonderful, fabulous day. I love you, and goodbye.